Today's session is Pilates for complete beginners. If you're not a complete beginner, but you do want to explore this session, come on in, join, because we're still going to cover some foundational, sort of observational work that you can apply, whether you're doing a weightlifting class, whether you're doing Pilates traditional repertoire, or more modern day Pilates that's more adaptive. And if you've never been here before, I'm Nicole. I've been teaching Pilates and movement education for about 20 years. I teach from a perspective of taking care of your body. So you're going to use a towel for some head support, because most of us, when we lay down on the ground, do not get our whole back on the mat, which is totally fine and normal. So if you're new to Pilates, there's this world that will either want you to be kind of what we call neutral or flat back. I want you to listen to your body and figure out what's going to work for your body that doesn't make your back hurt and feels like you're able to find stability. Because Pilates is going to be a lot of balance and controlling either stability or controlling stability of your spine while moving some limbs around, or controlling the movement of your spine through a range of motion. All right. So resting on your back with whatever head support you've got, right? If you lay down, and I know this seems tedious, but again, complete beginners and people, those of us who have been doing this for a while, sometimes we need to revisit this as well. So if I lay down and my shoulders are hunched or my ribs are off, if that happens and my neck is getting pulled, maybe my shoulders are forward, maybe my ribs are off, something of that, we need head support, right? So you can make your head support as big or as little as you need to, right? Whatever you need that allows your neck to feel okay. And notice I'm really just patting up my head. I'm not putting it underneath my neck. And then shoulders should be able to drop back and the ribs should be able to drop back. Then you're going to take your hands to your pelvis. And the first thing to do is you're going to breathe. A lot of breathing in Pilates. I don't want you to get too stuck in it and think that there's a right way and a wrong way. Breath is a tool. It is a tool to enhance your practice, enhance and balance your nervous system, our, stress levels, of course, but also breath plays a role in our core function and structure, from our diaphragm to our pelvic floor and from our diaphragm into our rib cage. So you can use it to help you move through something and have control, or you can use it to help you find stability. So I want you to take your hands, let's start on the belly because it's a little easier to feel. And you're going to inhale and you're going to let your hands expand. You're going to let your hands move up towards the ceiling on that inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to use your exhale and you're going to use your belly to pull your hands towards the floor, towards the mat that you're laying on. And you should feel your belly pull in. Now, did you immediately just tuck your butt to do that? Or can you keep your pelvis just calm wherever it is? Inhale, breathe in, let your hands expand. Your chest will expand with that as well. And as you exhale, you let it drop back, pulling the belly, almost like I'm pulling my hands together and back with my abdominals, with my exhale. Inhale, breathing in again. Exhale, pulling the belly back and together. Then I want you to take your hands a little bit to the sides of your body, wrapping your hands however you see fit, a little bit to the back. So I'm a little bit on the side and the back. So we do a lot of what we call posterior lateral breathing in Pilates, so that when we are holding our abdominals with tension, we have to breathe somewhere and we're not able to let the belly move a ton. So we're going to let a little bit more stretch and yawn go into the back than is maybe what we normally do in our day-to-day life. And you're going to inhale and allow your hands at the side and the back of your body to move, to expand on that inhale. And then on your exhale, you'll feel it kind of draw in. Notice if when you exhale, if you immediately just pull your chest down, your shoulders around, your neck pulls. We're going to try and slow that depression of the ribs just a little bit so that you can really get a chance for your belly to come in while the ribs are your ribs are going to drop when you exhale. Trust me, they're going to drop. That's what's naturally going to happen. It's just the part of how your breath moves in your body. So you don't have to force that. Inhale, breathing in. Exhale. Feel the belly pull in. Feel the waist draw in. The the back is still heavy on the mat. So I didn't squeeze so much so that my back arched off. One more there. And then exhale. Then we're going to add movement with this. So when you inhale, you're going to wrap your hands around to your pelvic bones here, called your ASIS, or sometimes you just put your hands on your hips, right? Depending on who's teaching. You're going to exhale, and you're going to let your pelvis roll towards your face. So if I imagine my belly is full of soup, I'm spilling it towards my navel, towards my chest, towards my face, right? And now, did you just squeeze everything and tighten everything? Just see if you can isolate your breath in your belly right now. Inhale, let it roll at least back to where you started, or if you can and it feels okay in your back, you're going to let that pelvis keep rolling so that your back lifts more than it was before. Pubic bone is aiming down in between your legs towards the mat. Exhale, draw the belly back and up, curl the pelvis under. When you curl the butt under, you're going to feel your back get more connected into the ground. And then as you inhale and you go forward with that pelvis, you're going to feel your back lift, right? Exhale, curling under. These are pelvic tilts. This is bringing awareness to not only your breath, your belly, but the placement of your and control of your pelvis, which relates to your spine and your hip joint. Inhale, going forward. Then find what feels like center for you in that pelvis and sacrum. And then I want you to wiggle around and make sure you feel your ribs. So just rock a little bit and feel your ribs on the ground. For this next one, if you have head support, I want you to slide it away because it's going to make you feel like you have more range of motion if you don't have your head supported. You're going to slide your hands behind your head. And I'm going to have you, I know a lot of times in workout classes, people are like, don't lift your elbows, push them back. We're going to bring our elbows into your peripheral vision. And you're going to feel your shoulder blades try and wrap around your rib cage. The way that you can do that is by thinking about reaching your elbow a little bit towards the ceiling. Because as I reach my elbow, my shoulder blade wraps. Now, let your head really be heavy in your hands. Support your head and neck so you're not just going to pull your neck up. I want you to exhale, and I want you to lift your head just a little bit to where your fingers are no longer weight-bearing. Your head is no longer weight-bearing in the mat, but you really feel your head in your hands and your elbows reaching up. Now, did your back arch because you're trying to lift yourself from your back? All right, get those ribs down. So the back of your rib cage needs to push into the ground to start to lift you up. Right? If I don't push down into something, I'm really not going to come up. I'm going to shear through about 2 of my vertebrae, and that's just going to exacerbate this pattern in our bodies of only moving in like 3 vertebrae and not moving in the rest. Right? We want even segmental movement for a healthy spine. It doesn't have to be the most extreme movement. It just has to be somewhat even. So then when you're upright, the forces are distributed. Now notice when you got your ribs down, did your butt curl under? Maybe that's where you are today. If you can bring it level-ish, where your pubic bone and those hip bones are kind of level, this lower part of your belly could hold a little bit, maybe like a cup of coffee or something. You're going to see, can I hold that there? But maybe today your pelvis is curled under, and you just start there and you think, okay, that's what feels better. Now notice, when you lift up here, is your belly pushing up? Can you sink it back? And then come back down. And you're going to practice that again. An ab curl. Because there's a lot here that we do in Pilates where we hold our body here. We're doing all this stuff. We're doing all these things with our limbs. So you've got to get this base level really aware and controlled and strong before you kind of move into the repertoire. Curling up and releasing down. Just 2 more. 2 more. So we're going to do about 5 of everything. And down, and 1 more, and then down, and rest. Slide your head support back underneath for a moment. Take just a deep, full breath, inhaling and exhaling. So the next thing we're going to practice is tabletop legs, marching, things like that. And this is where we start to add some load into those abdominals. And you can do this with your head up or your head down. We're going to practice it with your head down so that you can use those abdominals you just felt for that curl. You use those even though your head is down, which is technically harder to keep the ribs down. So I want you to get yourself in a position where your ribs are really flush on the mat in the back, even if that means your pelvis has to curl. right? Even if that means your pelvis has to curl, I want you to get your ribs down. And then I want you to think, okay, what about opposite my navel? Because a lot of times people get their ribs down and they're like this, right? You don't have to push them down. Like bring them back, but lengthen your head. Fix your head padding so that you really open in the collarbones and shoulders and the neck and throat. Then pull your navel back as well. And then you're going to bring your feet up to a little high heel position and the feet touching. And I want you to feel that your whole back is on the mat. Now, for a long time, I did not teach this way, but I think this is a great way to start. And or if you're rebuilding, this is a great way to start to be like, okay, from my tail, I'm not at the center of my tail because my pelvis isn't level. I'm more to the kind of the top of my sacrum, my lumbar spine, my lower back, and my ribs. Everything from in between my shoulder blades to my tail has some connection on the mat. I'm going to use that as I bring one leg up, knee over hip, foot about, you want like a 90 degree at the knee and a 90 degree at the hip, right? So that's as a tabletop leg position. Now, I'm going to check. Did I lift? Did I rotate? Did I do anything? Bring that leg down. Exhale, hug that belly in, float the other leg up. So there's that breath belly. Now, every time I do this, am I yo-yoing my pelvis and trying to move am I using my pelvis and spine to lift my leg? Hopefully not. I'll link a hip mobility video if that's happening to you because you need to do that hip mobility exercise and then come back to this. Exhale, stabilize, bring that knee over the hip. So this is just your tester, right? So this is very low level marching. I'm intentionally having the heels lifted. Sometimes we just start with the foot down, but I want you to keep your body absolutely flush and stable the best that you can. Exhale, belly pulls in to stabilize you. Abdominals are hugging to hold you, wallpapering yourself onto the ground. Bring one leg up, and if this is the right pace with the one foot down and one foot up, you stick with that, you keep playing. Now, what would happen if you were to float the other leg up? Did your shoulders, did your neck pull? Did you keep your ribs down? Did your back arch up? So just ask yourself all those questions. Hold there. Where's the pressure in your sacrum and pelvis? What about through that lower back, the waistline, the ribs? All right, then can you keep everything steady as you tap one foot towards the ground? Now, you might be like, this feels like work, I feel it, but my thighs are overworking. If your thighs are overworking, you're in hip flexion, so the hip flexor quadriceps might be working for you, and that's okay. But you could also drop your feet. It's going to lessen the load a little bit because you took your feet are now kind of close to your thighs, so it lessens the pull on your spine. So you could drop that so your quads get out of the mix, and that way you can really focus on the belly work. If you can keep your feet up, go for it. You don't have to drop your foot all the way to the mat. It could just go 2 inches down, and you're going to go down on an inhale, breathing into the mat. So that posterior lateral breathing. Exhale, belly pulls in and up, bring that leg up. Inhale, going down with the other leg. Exhale up, so marching. Inhale down. Exhale up. Your pelvis in my dream scenario is not doing all these it's not woo, we're not bicycling our whole body on the ground. You're really holding it steady and stable. So that length, decompression, control, and stability, right? Breathing. You feel my shoulders want to tense as I'm talking. And I'm not breathing as deeply, and I start to get a little tired just holding it. One more time, inhaling down, exhaling up. Then very slowly, bring one foot down at a time, or if you feel like this is pretty easy, I feel good, bring both feet down. Breathe normal, and you're gonna roll to your hands and knees. And there's so much more Pilates repertoire that we can do, but this is like the baseline. This is where we want to start. That core support and control and awareness, like a lot of awareness. So when you come to your hands and knees, put your hands right under your shoulders. If your wrists are sensitive, you can make a fist, or you can have a little padding, like you can roll up a towel and prop up your wrist. So you're really giving some lift into that wrist and hand while the rest of the hand kind of pushes down. If you need knee support, again, you can use your towel for knee support. So here you are, and you're going to do cat-cow. So we talked about a lot of stability and control and awareness. So now we're going to do articulation of your spine, and we're going to start at the tail. So you're going to take a deep breath in, and you're going to exhale and curl your tail under. And as your tail goes, your pelvis will go. And as that goes, it ripples through your spine, getting your lumbar spine to round. So you have 5 lumbar vertebrae, 12 thoracic vertebrae, and 7 cervical vertebrae. And then you've got your skull. And it's all going to round. And again, you are dreaming of what we call even segmental movement. So that kind of each little junction has somewhat similar range, although the vertebrae are very different in shape and their range of motion potentials and things like that. And then you're going to slowly let your tail go up, and you're going to ripple through your spine, going all the way out and up through your head. One more, starting with your tail again. You're going to start tail and pelvis. And the reason I do this because we do a lot of this control, like if you're doing roll up, roll down, things like that. You do a lot of this in Pilates repertoire exercises, rollovers, and how to support and control it. So it's as important to find this without losing control. Go up through your tail, ripple out through your spine, and then find a happy medium, and then keep pushing the ground away with those hands. So if you just think, because a lot of times people's neck and shoulders will get tired when they're first starting, or their wrists get tired. So again, pad up your wrist. But I want you to push the ground away to get those scapula, those shoulder blades wrapping onto your ribs, and then abdominals have to fire. Tuck your toes underneath you. I want you to gently round by thinking tail points not straight down, but just it lengthens and curls down a little bit. Sits bones reach down a little bit. Keep pushing the ground away. And I want you to really lift your low belly and your navel. Like I think my ribs and my kidneys and my navel really lifting towards the ceiling as I push down. And on your exhale, without everything pushing down, arching, collapsing, without losing that lift and that lifting up the belly, you're just going to hover your knees off. And you're going to breathe into that back body, inhaling, and then as you exhale, pull the belly in and out. Keep pushing the ground away. If you can do 3 breaths here, wonderful. If you only do 1, maybe next week you do 2. 1 more breath. Exhale, slowly lower the knees down. Untuck your toes and slowly shift your weight back. If you can't do that in the knees, just come to sitting on your butt. And then slowly bring yourself upright, thinking, okay, pelvis, ribs, shoulders, head, stacked. And that's your basics, right? So figuring out this length, awareness, support, and control, this is like the very basics, pre-Pilates exercises, right? So these are not Pilates repertoire exercises. These are the ways that you build up strength to be able to do other exercises, and not just Pilates, right? That core stability and core control without compressing everything, figuring out the coordination of our breath and our belly and even our pelvic floor. Like all of that matters when you're going to the gym and lifting weights, when you're going running, when you are doing a Zumba class, like all of that can integrate. So this is just a great practice to come back to, dial in to where your body is and where you need maybe a little adjustments or strengthening or stretching. All right, until next time, keep moving.